Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I am your host, Christine Innes. I am delighted to have this ray of sunshine, Mell, joining me. Thank you so much, beautiful soul.
You're welcome. I'm excited. I have been looking forward to getting back out there and just getting to be me again. It's been an interesting year, but for everyone, right?
Oh, absolutely. But a lot more intensely for you, but I just want to say, first of all, congratulations, because I have the September issue of the Corporate Escapists magazine. Look, we're all in orange today. Like, we're just, vibing here. I went into my closet this morning. I'm like, yeah, that's the dress. And yes, here it is. But I have to admit, your story really resonates so much with me, because you talk all about, energy and, how that can heal your body, but also to really understanding your soul. And I love that so much, because I think sometimes that, we go through and it's always about, well, why me, poor me, like all that sort of stuff. But sometimes we sort of go, well, how can I move forward? How can I sort of better myself? And I think that you are just embracing that so beautiful, but in just such a gracious way, which I adore so much. So thank you. You're really teaching me so much as well myself.
Oh, I'm humbled. Thank you. I mean, how how easy is it just to be yourself? Like ultimately, like people are like, oh, I'm really inspired by your journey. It's like I've kind of been brushing it off, going, it's just me. It's just how I do life, how I do me. Um, and I think I'm coming to terms with understanding that people really struggle to do themselves, to be themselves, and to understand themselves at that deepest level. So I think from the outside, when I try and put myself in their shoes, like I kind of get where they're coming from, because I didn't used to be in that place myself. So yeah, there's been so many beautiful insights just from just being me.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly relate to how people, I really believe that it's taken the last 5 years for me to strip back all of these sort of masks and labels that I had on myself. So I wasn't really being who I was. And it's interesting, yesterday I did an interview and I nearly swore. And I sort of like had to stop myself. But I thought, no, that's who I am. Like, I do swear like a trooper sometimes. Like, that's just who I am. And I think sometimes as people start to, really get to know you, and sometimes we have to take a breath just to go, no, that's me, that's who I am, either love it or not. That's the way that it is in life. So
Yeah, the way we express ourselves has been evolved as we've lived and experienced life, and the political correctness has actually restricted us and put boundaries on us. And the more freedom we have to be ourselves and to show up without, I mean, some language is offensive, but we've been taught what's offensive. And if we remove, they're not trying to offend you or me or the situation, and just looking and going, it's just a powerful word that is coming to their mind to enforce or reinforce what they're saying or feeling. So that freedom to be yourself is what most people wish they had when they're reflecting on their deathbed.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And just being free comes from the heart. It doesn't come from um, other arbitrary what's the word, influences externally. It literally is allowing your heart, your soul, your mind to just express fully.
Yeah. And have you found, I mean, for myself, I found that as I've been able to really express who I am, my creativity levels sort of kick into overdrive. It's not just, I'm like really interested in arts and all of that, but it's my business part as well, that, the creativity level, because we are really ready to start to explore. It's sort of like being a child again, and you've got the box of crayons in front of you and you want to use all of them and, add more color, add more, enjoyment and life to it all.
Yeah, I think the more we embrace our heart ourselves, our femininity of having compassion and empathy for who we are, and accepting I swear, for example, and not beating yourselves up and then putting those limitations back on, I shouldn't do that, or that's wrong, or that's bad, or that makes me an evil person, whatever. If we're removing those restrictions that then we're putting on ourselves that we think other people are judging us with, then that creativity then flow because the heart's at peace. And so that freedom that of being yourself then enables more expression. And that's where I believe, I definitely get what you're saying, that creativity and the intuition starts to come forward, and we start to see signs and opportunities and guidance, and not even like in a spiritual sense, just really practical. We just look for, oh my goodness, that conversation of me just speaking freely, respectfully. We're not talking about disregarding anyone else. That led to this opportunity, or that led to this introduction. And that's again where that freedom and expansion comes from. When we remove the limits within our own mind of how we should be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the more, as you said, like you become more at peace within yourself, because then you are open to receiving. And I think a lot of the times when we're guarded about who we are and what we want to say and what we want to do, we have sort of got those blinkers on thinking, oh, okay, no, I've just got to stay in my lane. But when you really are, you know, expressing that, you know, your freedom, who you are, and really being, and like, I love what you said, like from the heart, because it opens more opportunities, but those opportunities would have been there possibly, but we're more accepting to be able to receive them as well.
And I think something that I didn't know when I started on my own entrepreneurial, although I struggle with the word entrepreneur, I take that in a very literal sense, but you know, the self-employment, or you know, solopreneur, whatever we want to call it. When I started on that, I didn't realize how much influence one person can have on someone else. And I'm really understand my reputation of being vivacious, of being, you know, even the orange trend. I mean, we can call that brand, but it's a representation, and it's an indicator of my personality, and a little of how I like to identify. I mean, you call me a ray of sunshine. It's not the first time I've heard that. And so when that comes through, that's where your reputation actually precedes you, and go, oh, you are a breath of fresh air, and we want that for our audience, or on our stage, or wherever you show up, because you're being yourself. And it's easy to be yourself when you accept it. And then that's where your influence can grow, you know, in the social media context, and your reputation precedes you. So it's like a beautiful whole package of just embracing your heart, and forgiving yourself for your flaws, or what you feel is an undesirable trait. And if you really think that is something that's maybe self-sabotaging, you can do something about that thing, that small thing, and shift it so it's not a trigger, or shift it so that it's not a repeating pattern or behavior. And then the rest of you still okay. It's not like I am broken because I swear. I'm not a really bad person because I speak my mind freely. And many of my coaches, but some people, like, they love my forthrightness because they know exactly where they stand. I'm not going to bullshit them. And to be honest, a lot of people really want to hear, if it's done with grace and respect, what you're observing, because it's a chance for them to grow and be open-minded around where they can be even better versions of themselves.
Absolutely. And I think that, so I've got a saying now, is that I no longer want to have marshmallow conversations. And it is that the sickly sweet, you know, sort of it's just fluff, pretty much, conversations. I want to have real conversations now. And, you know, yes, I want to say, oh, what a glorious day, but I don't want to sit there for 20 minutes talking about the weather. You know, I want to actually find out what makes people tick. I want to find out, you know, what, you know, is their passion, and, you know, bring all that sort of thing out. And I think that had, you know, society always goes, you have to have those pleasantries in some degree. Yes. But like, I want to dive in. I just want to go straight to the nitty gritty sort of stuff of it as well. But that's who I am. And I'm starting to realize that there's people that are drawn to that, and there's other people who aren't, and that's okay. I accept who I am and to with it. So that's why I just love what you said, because it is so true. Sometimes we need that sort of, I don't know, kick up the backside sometimes, like to sort of get us into that next gear. But also too, it's how you deliver it, and it's your way. It's not you're pretending to be anybody else. You are just being you, and people are drawn to it.
It takes courage to hold up the mirror to elements that people most likely are aware of. So not only does it take courage to maybe call people out on traits or behaviors or mannerisms, but again, there's a responsibility, as you're indicating, of how you do that. And does it really serve? We're not talking about calling people out on everything. It's like, is this something that they have mentioned perhaps that is holding them back, and it's causing conflict, or there's a toxicity around it? And so you can come with that from a graceful space of saying, I wonder why that happens. What is that protective mechanism driving that? And there was something else I'm going to say, and this is where chemo brain kicks in. Doesn't matter.
It'll come to you. It'll come to you. So let's talk about this year, because so much has happened for you. And, it's just a few little things. Okay, we've all had COVID, but you've obviously gone through cancer, and I have been following your story, and I was delighted that I got to meet you in person. I've met you a couple of times as well. But the way that you are sharing that, and to me, is it takes a very beautiful individual, and to be able to share it in, as I said, a very gracious way. But you're not sugarcoating what's happened, but you're also sharing your lessons that you've learnt along the way as well, and how things have changed for you. And I do just want to say that, I really do admire that, because it does take a lot of courage, to obviously share personally what's going on in your life, but also too, just the way that you're doing it. You're educating me in a lot of different things as well. So I just want to say thank you so much, because that's a gift for me that is going to last a lifetime. So that, when we see people going through struggles, we can be a little bit more gracious. We can have that little bit of thought and understanding of what's happening. So thank you so much. I just really want to say that, because I really do admire what you're doing.
Thank you. One of the reasons why I'm showing up so publicly, and I don't think it's brave, like it's not hard for me just to, I said it again, just be me. But I do understand why other patients going through whatever health journey they're on, why they do want to keep it private. So this is just an approach I've taken, because I'm comfortable with just being transparent. In fact, the hardest thing for me has been, is anybody interested in this? Like, who gives a shit about Mell's having another bad day? But the way I've always well, what's the point of this? Like, what's the point of doing anything in life? How is this going to serve? How is this going to help? And so I'm glad, and people have been constantly reaching out saying, wow, I learned something today I didn't know before. And that's because I didn't know something the day before myself. So I'm sharing it as these realizations are coming up to help other people. And if I can help, I know I have already helped people, if I can help just one or two people either get through their own, obviously cancer, but something else, with a little bit more self-empathy, then that's fulfilling to me. That's the whole point of helping somebody get a bit of context or have a new awareness that they didn't have before. That's the point of doing it. And it's like, does that help? Great, if it does. It's never been about the Mell show or sympathy gathering. It's how can this even help someone who's supporting someone else going through it, because there's nothing like going through it to understand it. And I've learned so much, and I have a humility around how ignorant I was before. I've never been sick in my life, apart from the back injury last year. Never, apart from tonsillitis when I was a kid. Like I've lived 20, 30 years pretty damn easily. And I'm glad I've gone through cancer. It's taught me so much. And I have even more compassion and empathy for people who've got challenges with this amazing vehicle that we have to express ourselves and our heart and such. And if we can get through it a little bit easier, then that's the point of sharing. And I'm glad that, you know, it's educating along the way, whether people have gone through it, know someone, or just get more informed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do believe that, you know, things that have happened, and, you know, I've had a lot of heartache and, you know, struggles and all of that, and I've had health issues. But the thing, like you said, what has made, and this is what I really pick up when I'm like with you, is that sort of you have that empathy for people, because we don't know what's happening behind the scenes of somebody. So if we just show up every day with that heart, soul, that empathy, that, you know, love on people so much, that you don't know the difference you're going to be making in someone's life. And it's so powerful. And it's, you know, I don't know about you, but you can sit there some days and you go, wow, like somebody that you meet, you know, a little while ago, and then they tell you something, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I made that impact on them. But sometimes it is that empathy, it's that heart and soul that we can give, and love that we can give to somebody, because it's unconditional. It's, you know, there's no judgment in it at all. And I get that, definitely, like being around you so much. So all I wanted to do was hug you the other day, and I'm like, I can't hug it too tight, but I just wanted to hug you so tight.
I miss hugs too.
So we didn't practice social distancing that day, people, for sure, but that's okay.
No, we all knew where we were at, and health-wise, and blood count. Well, for me, blood count. So we're good.
Yeah. What have you found, you know, by sharing your story, and, you know, I guess shedding the light for other people as well, have you found, I'm trying to sort of craft the message, like I can sort of hear what I want to say, but so just bear with me for a second. But, you know, has there been a moment that you've even had that sort of realization, wow, of the impact that you are actually making as well?
I've had lots of small moments. I'm trying to think of like a story that's, you know, worthy of sharing. None's coming to mind like a significant one, but I get lots of DMs. I've had little parcels arrive in the mail and on my doorstep, and I'm looking into those deeper underlying reasons why people reach out, and that to me is the impact and the message. And the DMs are very humbling, where people, they don't want to share something online, but they've reached out and said, wow, I didn't know you were going through this, and, you know, just sending you love. Or one beautiful message actually has just come to mind, was from a gentleman, and it was along the lines of, I'm embarrassed around how ignorant I was beforehand about breast cancer. And for me, that's a massive impact on one human in a really small way. It's just, I see things really differently about that. And even for myself, like I used to think, and I'm just going to be vulnerable and you can judge me, people, but I used to think the ladies going through hot flushes and, you know, oh, the fans and the drama, and like, I'd be like, all right, I get it. You're going through the change, like you're hot. Oh my God, now I understand. It's like, this is full on.
Mm.
Like it completely breaks you out in a sweat within like 5 seconds. And it's intense. And I had no idea because I hadn't been through it. I used to judge and go, okay, you're just attention seeking, but it's just holy moly. So there are little things that I can help other people understand that will have just a gentle ripple effect. I'm not out there to make a big fanfare impact. That would be nice, of course, because then you're making a wider reach and impact. But there isn't any major significant. I think it's just small, just making my footprint along the way.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you definitely are. You've made a huge impression on me. So, you know, you've touched one person. That's definitely for sure. Like you really have. And I'm very excited that you know, really opened up and shared your story in our magazine as well. And what is next for you? What are the next big goals for Mell?
Well, let's just address that. I'm at the end of all the yucky stuff of my cancer treatment. So I've just had surgery 3 weeks ago today, and so all of the hard yaks is done. It's all hard yards. It's the word. It's all done. So now it's I've got treatments for another 6 months ish until May next year. That's actually way more than 6 months. There you go. I don't even keep track of it. So it's you know, the finishing this part of my health journey whilst putting myself out there and really celebrating the baldness, and that is, although it's not bald anymore, it's just shaved, and really helping spread the message in the same way COVID is, like social distancing, health, wearing masks. A year ago, you know, wearing masks into shopping malls and banks and stuff, that wouldn't have been okay. And so it's just changed how people understand health concerns. And so I'm going to do my own part with the shaved head until I finish that journey. So I've got reconstruction, at least 2, maybe 3 procedures still to go. So I've got a little bit, but that's exciting. This is like the end of the journey. And so getting into arenas and spaces where I can spread my message of how we can change the boundaries within our own minds to live a better life, to have that freedom, to live with grace, to accept the challenges that are here to help us. They're not here to set us back. Like my heart isn't anything more than expanded because of cancer and because of my abuse as a child, and because of my back injury, and all these things that have happened in my life have enabled me to show up now with the grace, the empathy, the elements of courage that I have. I want to keep that going. And if I can help share that from a public stage, that's my goals, that's my mission, of course, and the coaching work as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to support you all the way because I really, as I said, I can't say enough how much I really do admire you. And I think it was just a blessing that I got to meet you randomly. And then, you know, all of this amazing stuff has happened. So I do believe that, you know, you have been brought into my life for a very particular reason. And I'm very gracious for that. And I just want to say a big thank you for being here today, for sharing your story in the magazine. And I know that we've got something very exciting next year as well together. So I'm super excited about that. So
I wondered if you were going to mention that, but keep it under wraps.
we will keep it under wraps, and we will let everyone know very soon. But I'm very excited about that, and I think that that's going to really help bring that story even more to life, which is just super incredible. So I just want to say a big thank you for being here today, sharing your beautiful story and your wisdom with everybody as well. And, you know, I'm going to put the links of where everyone can reach out to you. Make sure you go and follow Mell. Her story is incredible. The way she shows up is just very beautiful and gracious. And yeah, I can't say thank you enough. So
Thank you. That's very humbling. But thank you, because what you're doing with your gifts and how you're providing a platform for people like me and light workers and the spiritualists to show up, because we're all here. It's an ecosystem of collaboration of how we can help humanity, and the healing that we can do within the quantum realm is the next level from where we've come from, and you know, coaching and healing, and the world is going to catch on really fast around we don't need to stay in struggle anymore. And to have the mindset that I have, and to think with the positivity I have, this isn't hard to achieve. And you're providing a platform to help educate people how that can happen for them, how they can do that for themselves. So thank you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.
You're part of it. So
Yeah,
you're
it's
living your dreams and I'm living mine. What
I absolutely am. It's pinch me moments every single day. So I'm just like, that's really my life. Like, so it's incredible. And I really I want to have you back, because I really actually want to dive into more of that sort of inner healing that we need to do. And I think that's something that is probably going to be a whole episode on its own. So
it's just like, so there's this thing I do over here that encompasses everything that I am and how I work with my clients. But you know, that's a bit deep in 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll chat more about that. But thank you so much, beautiful. And I just want to say thank you to you, Mel. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in for this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I'm going to put all the links below. Love and light to you all. And remember to follow your passion and live life to the fullest every single day.